Welcome to Herman Hits the Road, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at and installing the Haloview MC-10 rear view dash cam. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. Okay, so we have some instructions. Camera specifications. This is the actual mirror itself. It's a mirror and this is the display. We have a camera on the back which points forward and extendable. We have a few aerials. Second layer, we have the rear view camera. Looks nice and sturdy, metal. We have a number of cables. This is for the mirror component, which plugs into the 12-volt accessory port on the front of the vehicle. And we have some other cables down here, all to help us with installation. So I've temporarily wired this up. That's what it says in the instructions. Make sure that they pair before we go and install it. And that's what I've done. And let me show you what I am seeing here. There you go. So what we're looking at here, this image here is from this camera. So you can see all the way down there, and then see that there? That's the rear view camera, which you can see just there. Now if I do a swipe, you can see both cameras together. Okay, so this is the rear view and this is the front facing, and now you can see the rear view camera. So swiping up gets you this menu where you got various settings. You can go into this extra setting menu where you can see, you can set all the deeper settings such as formatting the card, recording formats, the picture and the park line there. So it's all very well put together, and I'm keeping on the plastic, so it might look a little bit fuzzy, but I'm keeping on the plastic until we actually do the installation. Don't want the camera scratched. On the back here, so you got the speaker, you got these clips which go onto the rear view mirror, and like I was showing you earlier, this is the camera, the front facing camera, and obviously it sticks out like that. You can adjust that in case your mirror is quite a large mirror and needs to go round. Comes with an SD card. Now this is a wireless setup, however it's not wireless, is it really? The connection between the mirror monitor and the rear camera is wireless, as you can see from here, but we still need power. We still need a power cable, and that is where things get a bit tricky. And I've been thinking about this for a while now, about what do I do about power. What I don't want to do is connect it to the leisure battery. I've got various connections around the motorhome which I could use, but I don't want it on all the time. So what I want to be able to do is turn it on with the ignition and maybe switch it on and off even when the ignition is on. Now if I have it on the ignition, that means I'm going to have to wire it from the front where the key is to turn the engine on, all the way to the back where the camera is, and I want to avoid that. I want to avoid running a cable front to back. So I thought what I'll do is wire it up to the lights. Now in this old motorhome, the lights don't come on automatically like modern cars. We have a switch which turns them on or off. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wire it into the switch. However, that would still mean wiring it from the front where the switch is all the way to the back. So I'm going to actually wire it to the lights. So at the back I'm going to wire it into one of the lights in the light cluster, and in the front, well, we've got other complications in the front, and I'll show you that right now. So here we have the monitor mirror connected to the real mirror, and the wire comes out the top. Now it's quite a long wire, with the idea that it will go all the way around and plug into a cigarette lighter. However, first of all, I don't have a cigarette lighter. I took that out months ago. But also we have this problem. Yeah, so we have a drop-down bed. As you can see, the mirror is right near the dashboard just there. So what we need to do is compensate for that, right? So we need to, you know, the wire is going to extend and retract whenever we move the bed up and down. So I've got to think about that. We have measured where we want the camera to go. As you can see, we put our markings on there, including this one. This is for the cable that comes out the back. Just there's a grommet for it. Behind the high level brake light and the rear of the camera is this cupboard. This panel here needs to come out so we can get us access to the back. To do that, I need to take that cupboard out. Right, look at the mess we made. Cupboard, polystyrene, massive hole. Gonna need to drill in the other side in for the camera. So what we're doing here is drilling into a piece of wood the other side, and we're going to use the piece of wood for stability. Okay. Right, the grommet's going in. So there you go. Very nice fit, I think, especially when we had it on the upside down. So now it's the right way up. We've wired the camera in, as you can see. There it is behind this piece of wood here. 4 screws holding it on, wire coming out, all nicely bonded up. The wire connects to this blue one, and the blue one goes through under the over the roof there. It runs across the roof and down the side, all the way down here to, well, to this light here. It's connected to this light just here, so that's where we're getting our power from for the camera. Now then, inside I need to show you what I've done here. So I've got my mirror all set up. At the moment it's not plugged into the light, which is the next thing we would need to do. But if I just flick to no signal, now if I turn the ignition on and then the lights, bink, there you go. That is the rear camera. Oh, cue person driving by. That's the rear camera sorted out. Right, so all we need to do now is fit this to the mirror and then the end of the cord to the other light, which is outside. I am sitting on the bed right now. Obviously it's dropped down, and I have a plan. So just below here is the rear view mirror. So we're going to come up through the bottom or the top of the mirror into the bed area. Now underneath the mattress are some slats. So we're going to run the cable all the way along here. Now as you can see, there is this cable already coming up here, coming up from the bed. So this cable goes all the way down this tube, this pipe, this steel, and under the bed, just behind this piece of plastic, which is the roof, there is the outside light, the side light. Now what I'm intending to do here is to cut along here with my Dremel, peel it back as far as I can so I can pull the cable out, and then I can start splicing the new cable in. Right, there you go, there's a load of cable now. I'm still on top of the bed. Obviously this is the windscreen. Just below here is the mirror. I've kind of marked off where I want to drill. So there's a kind of a mark. I would like to get it closer, but this slat is in the way. So let's do a bit of drilling, shall we? Just sand that hole down a bit, get rid of all the burrs, because you're going to have a live cable coming through here. So here's my hole I just drilled, and this is the mirror monitor display attached to the real mirror, and here we have my cable attached, of course. Now I've got to put that in through there, but of course The other end is actually looking like that. This is the DC 12 to 24 volt adapter that goes into the cigarette lighter. Now you might be wondering how I'm gonna put that in there. I'll show you. There you go. They have departed. So there's the cable, just there, pops up into the roof. It's connected to the mirror monitor just there, and it runs all the way along here, all nice and tidy like. Comes out of this hole, which is already here with another cable coming out of it, and goes up the side of the bed up here. Right, and as it goes up, comes out the top there. So all I've got to do now is wire it up, and of course it's red to red, black to black, blue to bits. Now I'm using these Wago connectors, so you basically put your cables or your wires into these holes here, and then you just clamp them down, and it's a good way of joining cables of the same polarity together. Right, so that's the light wired back in. All I need to do now is connect the camera. So we have on the light, white is the positive, but I reckon red on the camera is positive rather than the white. Right, let's see if that works. Oh. Something's not quite right, because that should be working. Right, well, after thinking about this for a bit, I've come to realise that I probably do need the bit that I cut off. It must be some sort of step down, and I thought it might take 12 volts, sorry, I thought it might take 24 volts and turn it down to 12 volts. It probably does do that, but it also must do the amps as well. So either I've blown it by putting too many amps in, or, fingers crossed, it works and it stopped that amount of ampage. Right, so now then, what's happening here is I've actually plugged it into this USB. Oh, I think I've got a dodgy connection here. USB cable. Goes into the 12 volt USB socket here, but that says on it 5 volts 2.1 amps, right? And it keeps on turning itself on and off. On and off? Yeah, on and off. So I think what I need that thing I cut off, the cigarette lighter connector. I'm going to solder it back in to my connector, and of course this is into my circuit, to my wiring. I'm kind of giving myself a bit more extra work. I think I should have just got a cigarette lighter connector and wired it to my 12 volt and let the cigarette lighter connector deal with it. But I'm going to have to solder it back in and put a fuse on it as well. Well, this is take 2. Ignition on. Lights. Ooh. Hey! There's the front. There's the 2 in cameras. And that's the back. Right, let me show you what I actually ended up doing. So this is what I've put together. That, of course, is the cigarette lighter adapter. I've soldered in 2 wires either end. I've taken out the metal bit that plugs it into and connects to the cigarette lighter. This piece of wire here, at the very end, I've got the Wago clips. That's going to connect to the camera. And this side, I've put in an inline fuse. That is a 3 amp fuse. I wanted to get low. I think that's adequate, but I wanted to see if I could get it down to 1 amp. But anyway, that'd be fine. And then of course that ends off at two other Wago connectors, which that is going to be connected to the power and the light itself. Right, as you can see, the mirror monitor is on. You can see the cable going up there. It goes across the bed. So you can see it trailing across here. Now I still need to do some tidying. And it's a bit difficult. Right, so there's the other end of it. You can just see the cigarette lighter connector there. It's all on. It's all looking nice. It needs to be tidied, of course. Need to tie that to the somewhere. Cable comes through this hole and up here, of course. Just there, they get the Wago connectors, and I created this using a different wire this time. So this is the same 17 amp cable that we use for the camera. I wrapped it in tape, and that's going to be a lot better, a lot safer for us. So I just need to set that all back into here and tidy up. I've been using the MC-10 on a few trips now, and I'd like to give you my review of it. Let's cover the good points first of all. Number one, it was very simple to install, even though I went a kind of bit overboard with the soldering of the end and all that kind of thing. Also, the functions, the on-screen functions are very simple as well. It's just a quick swipe left, right, and or up and down. And of course, you've got those buttons along the bottom as well when the display appears. Makes it very easy to use. Also, it has a dash cam. It's not just a reversing camera. You can record what is ahead of you and what's behind you at the same time, which I think is a really good idea. So now the bad points. So first of all, I think it's very clever that it's a mirror as well as a screen. However, the screen is actually too reflective. We get sunlight coming in from all directions and casting shadows over the screens. So it makes it difficult to see. Plus, even during daylight, when there's a car behind you with their lights on, it dazzles the screen as well. And of course, being a replacement for the mirror that you already have in the vehicle, you can see down the road a lot further than the mirror itself. However, you can't see below you, so you don't see anything right behind you, as it were. Where it excels, I think, is being a reversing camera, so it's tilted down to right behind the vehicle. But however, you can't see tree branches. Being a high vehicle, you kind of want to know if you're going to hit a tree branch. But I mean, you're not going to get that with any mirror, with any camera, are you? So it's not really, it's just something I noticed rather than a bad point, I suppose. Sound quality is abysmal. It is just a constant hiss. Check this out. Now, do you want to go the scenic route, which is 1 hour 20 minutes, or the speedy route, which is 50 minutes?
We'll go the speedy route, because I think
yeah, so it is awful. Could be better, I suppose. But if it's just for being a dash cam kind of thing, then I think it should be probably fine. Video quality at the front is pretty good. On the reverse, though, the back camera is okay. It drops a few frames every so often. That's purely because, I believe, because it's Wi-Fi. It's not so fast, it's not so fluid as the front-facing camera. In conclusion, I like the fact that it's a dash cam, so you can see and record things that are happening through the front windscreen and things that are happening behind you. I like the fact that you can, if you tilt the camera up a bit, you can see further down the road. And I liked also the fact that if you tilt it down, you can see right behind you. So it's very useful as a reversing camera. I've been on a few trips now with the MC-10 using it, and I'm finding it useful and usable as well, even regarding all those bad points I've mentioned. And here's why. So here we have the front camera and the rear camera. And as you can see on the rear camera, you can actually see quite a lot of the road there. Check this car out when I swipe to the left, you can't see the front of this vehicle here, and you can see further down the road. And the reason for that is because this image is cropped. And what that means is that you can actually tilt it by flicking either up and down on either of the sides here, up and down. It's a bit of a slow process, but what I've been doing is when I've been reversing, I'll tilt the camera down, and that kind of thing happens sometimes if you don't swipe properly. You know, I'll be reversing when the camera's tilted, and when, of course, I need to drive again, I'll flick it back up. Now, ideally, what I would like to see is a button, or like 2 presets, so you can go, bonk, press a button, and it switches to that view, and press it again, and it switches to the lower portion of the image. I'm not moving the camera, I am just moving the cropped part of the image. You may also notice that I'm not getting so many reflections, and the reason for that is I've tilted the mirror away. So there it is when the mirror is pointing directly at the window at the back, and of course that is unusable really. So by accident I knocked the mirror, and then I started looking into it. If you point the mirror somewhere else which isn't very reflective, then you don't get very many reflections. Having said that, I think what I might do is put a cover on here of a non-reflective sticky backing. You can buy them on online, and for screens and laptop screens, all that kind of thing, your iPads and whatever. So I might actually go and buy one and cut it to size, and then see what that looks like. That will get rid of all my reflections, and I'll be able to use it as a reversing camera as well as a rear view camera. And if you're interested in purchasing the Haloview MC-10 Wi-Fi reversing camera, then check out the video description for a link and a discount. So hopefully you found this video very useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. You may be interested in watching one of our previous videos, such as this one here, where we cut a huge hole in the floor to remove some water damage wood rot. You may consider subscribing, and if you do, please don't forget to click that notification bell so you can get notified when we release a video. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.